is going on, fellow Gaslanders, fellow hobbyists, fellow Blood Bowl players? It's your boy Fo, and I'm coming at you with another video. Now this video is going to be a little different because I went on a little trip. But before we get into that, I was working on this Blood Bowl team. I was doing my thing, and I'm taking a long dramatic pause. Let me tell you why I'm taking a long dramatic pause. Because I had to take a moment of silence. Because a fellow Windsor Newton Series 7, it went down. It went out of commission. And that's rare. So what happened was, I took my current paintbrush that I like to do detail work with, pulled off the plastic tip, picked up the model, and I started to do a little bit of detail work. And as I was doing the detail work, I wasn't getting fine lines. Some of the little hairs and bristles were starting to just do their own thing. You know, like, it was like, oh, let's paint. And there's just one or two bristles were like, nah, brah, we're going to go over here and we're going to touch this guy's chin. I know you guys are working on the chest area, but what we're going to do is we're going to jump off from the rest of you guys and we're going to hit off this guy's chin. So that's what was going on. And it's a terrible thing when that happens. So I had to take a little moment of silence just because let's just give just like a personal thought. Just, Windsor Newton, you were a good brush to me, but it's time to retire you over to the flock area, or putting down glue, or putting down textured paints, or some art coat. That's going to be your new job from now on, buddy. So just like I said, like, it's not like it's going to go away. It's going to still stay in my paint cup, and it's just going to be assigned different tasks. So that's what's happening to this guy. And if it wasn't going to be assigned tasks, I'll probably maybe build a little raft, you know, put it on it, and then ship it out into the water, and then shoot a flaming arrow, and just, you know, give it a real Empress send-off. Now, don't get me wrong, okay? I know the Windsor Newtons can tend to be on the pricier side. They're not the most pricey paintbrush, but they are around the $17 to $20 range, which seems pricey to some people. Now, believe me, I was one of those people for a very long time. I used to strictly only use like Games Workshop paintbrushes, Citadel, Army Painter, you know, brushes that cost around the $3 to $6 range, and I was good with that. And believe me, a good painter could do a good job with mostly any brush. And I wasn't into looking to spend, you know, almost $20 on one paintbrush. But let me tell you, I had gotten a pretty cool gift from somebody one time, and I was able to treat my gift. Let me treat myself. And I went out there and I bought a bunch of high-end hobby stuff that I always kind of snug my nose at, but I bought it. And some of those things were the Windsor Newton Series 7. So I come home, I pop off the plastic, I sit down, I start painting with it, and to me, I noticed an immediate difference. It had a lot more springiness to the paintbrush. The point held a lot better, a lot finer. And also, the brush lasts a long time too. It lasts longer than the cheaper brushes. It does. As long as you take good care of it, just like any brush will last a long time. But the Windsor Newtons, in my opinion, they're good quality brushes and they last a long time. Like this one I'm about to recycle into the textured paint area. I've had it for about a year, and it gave me fine detail up until a couple of days ago when I tried to do some fine lines on these Blood Bowl models. And it's been really good to me. So what I did was I put this paintbrush down. I put the plastic cap on it. I keep the plastic caps to all my paintbrushes. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of what I do to my paintbrushes. Just a little quick thing. So before I put a paintbrush away for the night, what I do is I rinse it off in my water. Normally I don't have all this crap on top of my cup. And I give it a rinse. Then I wash it off. Then I get up, I run some warm water, I take a little tiny bit of soap, and I wash off the bristles. I use some more warm water, rinse it off really good, make sure there's no soap in there, and then I come back, I put the plastic cap on, I make sure it has a nice point before I put it away, and then I hang it upside down. Why I keep these is because if I just want to put it up against a cup like this, or if I want to just throw it into my paintbrush area, I could keep it upside down, and it dries upside down, it dries to a nice fine point. And that's why I keep all the little plastic nubs. And if you don't keep the plastic nubs, what I like to do is, here's another little thing I'll do. I just don't have anywhere currently on this painting station, so I'll just give you an example here. So I'll take a piece of the yellow fun tack or blue tack, whatever color you have, and I'll stick it to something. Like currently in my setup now, I have no way to really stick it yet. So once I get a couple of more shelves or whatever, I can stick it to it, and I'll put my paintbrush at the end of the night inside the tack like that, and I'll leave it hanging upside down with a little bit of the fun tack. But if you do keep the plastic tips, if you do keep the plastic tips, like I said, you could put it on, and then you could lean it up against something or just put it into your cup upside down. Not in your water cup, because then that'll defeat the whole purpose. In your cup where you have your paintbrushes. So that gets me to what I'm making this video. So I had to go out, I had to go on a little shopping run. I had to get out a couple of new paintbrushes, and I had to pick up some more supplies. I was like, while I'm out getting paintbrushes, if I'm going to be at the paint supply store, I might as well get some plastic card or plastic rod. I might as well look up to see if I could find little bits and pieces I could use for my games. And I took out the phone and I recorded some of it. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to continue to paint these guys tonight. But after I turn this camera off and I finish painting these guys, I'm going to be throwing together a video of the little shopping trip that I did, and I picked up all the supplies, and I'll show you what I got, and we'll go over it. One of my places to be, Blick Paints. That's where I get a bunch of my supplies from. Like the brushes. Alright, so I usually go for the Series 7s, the Winsor Newtons. So I got 2 of them bad boys. Now I head over, usually I head over to the architecture section where they have a lot of the stuff that's good for like games and stuff like that. Can get Gorilla Glue here, although they don't use the Gorilla Glue. Oh, they do. This is the Gorilla Glue I normally use. $5.50 is a little pricey though, so I get it by the place by me. Gotta remember, this is Manhattan. Let's drop my paintbrush. Alright, so we're at the architecture. Alright, this is my jam right here. This is the plastic struck section. This is where you get like your plastic card that has different textures on it. Like you see, this looks like some kind of siding. And sometimes they have diamond plate. I gotta ruffle through all of these to see what they have. And then you got all your like plastic rod and plastic I-beams and things like that in this section too. That's where I get a bunch of them. Oh, this thing spins. Spinning around. Got some more I-beams over here. You got some plastic tubing. I like the real small plastic tubing, which is good for like exhaust pipes and things like that. There's the announcement. They're like, you gotta go. Let's go. Get out, pack up. We gotta go home. See, these are cool right here. These are like little support beams. I made my gates out of these, but larger ones. I can't find the large ones right now, but I don't need any more of those. What I do need is I-beams. And what I do is, with the plastic rod is, I'll buy like this gauge rod, and then I'll buy a smaller gauge, and I'll cut like a tip of it off and put it in the larger gauge. And that's how I make a lot of like the old school machine guns and stuff like that. So no luck with the diamond plating, but I did find 2 packs of I-beams, which is pretty sweet, and I got some small, real skinny plastic rod, which I needed, and some plastic tubing, which this should set me up with exhaust for a while. So let's get these and see what else they got. All right, stopping here for a second, because this is the stuff that I use to mesh out my windows. It's basically this stuff right here. Comes in all different sizes. This is a really big roll of it. It's used to like make sculptures. It's a sparkle mesh, and that's what I use to rock out usually the windows, like the mesh. But they have them in smaller packs. I only see the big rolls right now. The big rolls are priced like $33 a roll. There's way cheaper things you could do for mesh for windows. But usually they have packs that are kind of like this, but smaller. And those packs aren't that expensive. And you get a lot of it, especially for what we need them for. You don't need as much, and it'll last a real long time. Like I bought 1 pack, and I've barely used like 25% of it. Get a lot of, this is where I got some of my sculpting tools too, to work with putty, green stuff, and all that jazz. I don't see any clay shapers here. If they have, I mean, they have plenty of clay shapers, but they don't have the silicone tipped ones that are good for working with green stuff, because they don't stick, because they're silicone tipped. But these are good if you have to like put in certain like striations and things like that, or like working with fur where you have to pull the putty. So you can find that here in a place like this. All right, I got what I needed. Oh, one more thing before I go. Let me swing by and find them. I might pick up 1 or 2 of them myself. Right here. These Micron flatline pens, the Pigma pens. These are basically like paint pens. You get a pack of them for like 20 bucks. They're a little pricey, but they're super good. And what these do is, you could basically like draw right on a model, and they have really small, fine, like really fine lines. Like if you see my build, I was working with the comic sketch cars. I plan on doing a couple of cars, like the whole entire scheme like that, and these Micron pigment pens are perfect. They come in all different colors too. And just take a look, you get like really, really fine lines. And like they're perfect, they paint right on models, usually pretty good. You just can't press too hard, you gotta take your time. But these things are like fantastic. Fantastic for doing fine line work and for like doing some freehand on a model as well. Lines. All about waiting on lines. I'm not a fan of lines. I think I got my Dunkin' Donuts apple cider. Now, I don't know if you could see this, but the customer in front of me, she brought up, no joke, about $200 and something worth of colored pencils. And they had to ring them up one by one. So she dropped like a stack of pencils on that table, and I'm just sitting here, and she's just like, beep, 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 one at a time. Look, still going. Like I actually went back, I looked at something, I came back, and look, she's still beep, ringing up these pencils. It was so funny. Look, she even cheered. All right. How you doing? All right, so I jumped on the bike and I decided, let me go the next morning and take a 17-mile ride to the Target, get some exercise and pick up some more cars, a couple of more supplies. I didn't do much recording. I left the GoPro at home and I was doing this with one hand, so I had to pay attention to the road and not crash into stuff. Locked up the bike, made sure that was all wrapped up. There's the Barclays Center across the street. You know, if you want to watch a Nets game while you're down here, you could jump over there, watch Beyonce sing a concert, go right ahead. One thing, I almost forgot my bag. That would have been crazy if I forgot my bag out here. I probably would have came back out, the bag would have been gone. But I grabbed the bag, found the Target, and I jumped right in to get some more supplies. Of course, the first thing I see, you know, you got to get some energy. I like to keep a couple of sugary snacks around the painting table just to give myself a little boost. You know, and you're getting a little drained at night, you're doing a late night painting sesh, and you pop in some candy. Now, I found these golf carts and these big engines. Really got a lot of ideas going. I thought they were funny, so I threw it into the wagon. Then I just started throwing cars into the wagon. I started seeing cars I like. This is my problem. I start seeing cars, and I just start chucking them into the wagon. And that's where the wife's like, you think I have enough cars? No, I never have enough cars. But I'll tell you what, Target had enough 32 Fords. There was a point where I would have bought up most of those 32 Fords, but I have so many now, I don't need any more. And I finally found the Punisher van. So you know, 2 of those had to go into the cart. Bing bam, 2 of those chucked right in. I don't even know what the other third thing was that went flying into the cart. But then I found this cool Deadpool chimichanga van, and it had a little guy in there already. I thought that was pretty cool. Tossed that in the bucket. Tossed that in the wagon. Then I seen the perfect truck that I was going to use for the base of my war rig, which since has changed, but you know what? That had to go in the wagon. I was digging this truck. I have a war rig build coming up. Get this thing in the wagon. Had a cool car in the back. Get it in the wagon. Then they finally have these metal machines. Now these have the plastic bodies, which I've been wanting to work with one of these. So I found this cool little bad boy, which I'm going to turn into a buzzard or something. But I want to see how it is working with the plastic bodies. You know, they're easy to cut into. I seen this thing. I think these are like funny cars. There was an Idris build I've been wanting to do with these cars. So sure enough, toss that in the wagon. That's going in the wagon. And I finally found the mutter box. That went in the wagon. I've been wanting that. But then I remembered, I got my bike bag and I got my bike. I can't fit everything in it. So I had to leave a couple of things back, and I just picked up a few things. Then when I jumped on my bike and I was coming back, I found this other place I never saw before. It's kind of like a hobby place. And they had it's like a hobby arts and crafts. It's right by college. So I bet you it's there for like the art classes in that college. And I found these hooks. I seen someone else using these things on the Gaston Forums page before. You can make some cool rams with them. So I picked up those. I took those with me. And I noticed they got a bunch of glues that I like to use. So this is a good place to know. I'm happy I found this place. And I'm going to show you some more stuff later on why I'm happy I found this place. This place was kind of like a gold mine of cool stuff. They had these cool little black rubber things. I think they're like supposed to go on like under like table legs as like grips. But those little arrows you could stick on like a strip, and those could be perfect for like gates to show you which way to go through. I didn't get them. They were a little pricey, but I put them back. But I could have, you know, that was an option. Then they have, you know, Mod Podge. You have all these cool stuff. Then they had these really cool carrying boxes for like art supplies. And they usually have a lower portion that's really deep. And they have a tray on top with little compartments. Now, I'm going to pick up one of these, and I want to show you guys I'm going to eventually do a video and make a cool all-in-one carrying case for cars and supplies and templates, tokens, everything. And it's going to be all magnetized so the cars don't move around. And I'm going to toss that on here. That's a video coming up soon. It's going to be a really cool all-in-one carrying case. Then I was just looking around this place, had some really cool stuff. Like this, they had like these little scale trees and horses and animals. I thought those were pretty cool. I didn't get any, but it's good to know they're there. And they had the little model more animals. They have some more animals. But this is like this sort of stuff you would find for like an architecture model piece or like a railroad scene. They had the little people, but they were a little pricey. Like that little pack of people was like $4 or $5. And they have like not much detail on them. There's a lot cheaper ways. Then they had these, they had this box of people. They had a little bit more detail. There was a couple of guys sitting. I almost bought this pack, but it was like almost like $15. I figured with the amount of money I would spend on these, with like the detail not that great, I could go to Mad Cars for 15 and get like a really nice high detailed pack. And that's why I didn't pick these guys up. But if I needed them in a pinch, they would have worked great. And if you do see them for cheaper, you should pick them up. But I wound up putting them back just only because they were a little pricey. And again, they had more of the basic whites. That was a all female pack. But again, they don't really have a lot of detail. So I wound up putting them back. You know, Mad Cars really kind of changed the game, man. If you get some really nice detailed pieces to scale. And the only way I would get those if they were like really cheap, so I could cut them up and like stick them inside cars where you really can't see them. But there's plenty of places on like Amazon that have them way cheaper. There's some construction worker guys. I didn't wind up getting those, but they were a little too big. So I just continued to like look around, and then they had like all these model trees, which was cool. And I didn't expect them to have this whole section of trees and flock. And this was like a real surprise find, was finding these Woodland Scenics bags of flock. I totally didn't expect them, and I grabbed it. As a matter of fact, I needed these things. So I'm really happy that they had them. I was super pumped, and it's good to know that I could jump on my bike, take a 20-minute bike ride, and I could pick up some flock and stuff. I thought that was really cool. And then they wound up having the smaller packs of the mesh I was talking about. So those are the packs. They come with like 4 or 5 sheets of that size. And they just last a long time because you're cutting really small sections. So, you know, they're a little pricey. There's way cheaper stuff to use for mesh. All right, I'm in the family room. The lighting is not that great in here, so don't worry about it. And I just want to watch some Netflix and just chill out, drink a cup of tea, and just chill. But let's quickly go over the final product of this fiasco shopping trip. It was like a 2-day, it was over the course of like two days. And there was a 17-mile bike trip in there. So things got a little bit crazy, but you know what? We got a bunch of cool stuff. Finally found a Punisher van. I'm happy with that. I've been looking for those. Got the Mutter box, and I got a cool war rig that I'm going to be working on soon. So I'm happy with the stuff. Got these crazy engines on these golf carts, and I'm pumped about those. It's crazy how excited I am about those stupid big engines. Anyway, those are cool. I got the I-beams. I got the plastic tubing, which is going to literally, look at all this, make me making exhaust pipes for days. For days, man. There's a lot of tubing for that. And of course, I got the Winsor Newtons. I got a size 1, a size 0. I'm happy with that. And the surprise thing that I found on the trip, which I didn't think I was going to find, was the Woodland Scenics Fine Turf. Normally, I have to order this stuff or go to like a railroad place to find it. I'm happy that I was able to find this out in the wild. So that was really cool. I don't got to order it. And I had no more of it. So I'm pumped about that. And I've seen online these picture hangers. Someone did this, and I loved it. It gave me a great idea, and I'm going to be using these things. So I picked up some of the picture hangers, make some front-facing rams or some rear-facing rams. Who knows what else you could do? It's spiky. It's perfect. So I'm glad I found these. I still can't find the buttons to put on the hubcaps for spikes. I still can't find those. I went to a few places that had sewing stuff, and they have buttons, but they don't have any of the ones with those spikes that you can put on the tires. So I'm still looking for those. Maybe I'll find them. But anyway, this was the haul. This was a lot of fun, guys. It was 2 days of just running around like a crazy maniac looking for supplies. I finally had a free weekend where my girl wasn't like popping out of a closet or ninja kicking the door open, telling me that we got a birthday or we have to go, looking for like things like this. Like things like this. Like this is what I'm talking about. Look at this thing. Can you look at this thing, please? Like this was a day in Kohl's, man. Like shopping for, look at this. You know what though? Let me tell you something. This would make like good terrain. Like this thing right here, even these, like this would make pretty cool terrain. Actually, if you painted this up, you can make this look like a lotus, a black lotus if you're into magic. Anyway, but this was like a day, man, of shopping. So I had none of that this weekend. It was fantastic. I was able just to like do stuff, paint, hang out with the boys, play games. It was great. I'm not going to say it too loud. I don't know if she's listening. Hold on. Let me get in there real quiet. They got the most uncanny hearing. It's crazy. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. This was a lot of fun. Get in your games and have a blast. Fantastic.